Hope everyone's having a great day. We have a very special guest with us today. You know him as Bay from FinalbossTV. How are you doing today, Bay?
Hello, sir. I'm doing good. I'm trying to catch up on everything you're doing right here. Let me grab your link, and because my Twitch isn't showing you live yet, because I was gonna host you, but
Might take
Twitch,
a second.
please. There it goes. There it goes. There it goes. There it goes. You. I think we're set. Yeah, it took like way too long just to pop this up. Okay, cool. We're good. We're good. We're good.
I blame Twitch wholeheartedly.
No, that's fair. That is totally fair. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. So yeah, hello, hi.
Ooh, hosting me with 31 viewers. Feel famous.
It's all just, it's just the cold host, just because the auto host runs around. But I feel like I'm sitting here talking to you today, so.
Hey, no, I appreciate it. So I hope everyone's having a great day. So Bay, how are you today?
I'm fine. I've been living in sort of the World of Warcraft beta coma, I guess, if you will. So I've quite literally just been testing almost every single day for like 3 months. So 2.5 months, I guess, but still, yeah.
So how's that process been like? How do you still know what the sun is?
Well, I never really go outside much before now, so I go grocery shopping like every 3 weeks. That's about as much sun as I get. Or if I go on a trip, I suppose I just went to PAX. But it wasn't really sunny in PAX because it was snowing.
That's very true. Well, that's typically Boston for you anyway.
Right. No, yeah, it was snowy and rainy and cold.
It was. I'll give you that. So why don't we just dive right into our topics here? So, why don't you tell us why you got started in the content creation with Final Boss TV and how you built yourself up from start to where you are now?
Where I started or why? Oh gosh.
Do both. They're intertwined.
Well, I only found out again. So I had to dig this information back up recently that I've been on Twitch on this name since April 2014, but I'm pretty sure I was on Twitch about a year before that on my old channel. So sometime early 2013 is when it started, and I guess the inspirations and why all this started, at least at the time, was there's a little nerd out there by the name of Day9, Sean Plott. That was a huge inspiration for what I did and what I've become and what I've learned. Mike B, aka Phony, also had a big nerd crush on him for a long time. But now I've met him and he's all demystified. So it's like, he's just some guy. So, but overall, I think that the two of them together back in the day with the old podcast Legendary and the Day9 Daily and then the BFF report, like those three things together. Obviously, Legendary was the Gary Gannon hosted lore, and Mike B and Olivia used to be on that back in the day. So, or Blizz Blues became a thing, the old machinimas that Mike did. So, yeah, like I've always been someone that absorbed a lot of content. So then when it came to make my own foray into this, I thought, well, I'm a film nerd. I went to film school. And talk shows, interview shows always bring on, movie stars, directors, that kind of stuff, the actors for those things. So why doesn't anyone do that for like World of Warcraft? It's a huge game, the biggest MMO on the planet. So I decided, why don't I just interview the players about the game? And then it just slowly evolved and has evolved from there since Mr. Pandaria. And we're going through another evolution of that in BFA, where the show will change a little bit more. And I'll integrate a little more of just not only World of Warcraft oriented shows, so I can break it up a little bit so the show can slowly evolve beyond just World of Warcraft. But right now I can't do any of it because all I can do is test because there's too much to test.
So let's talk about that. You're currently going through every class and every spec. Now, do you go back to those classes once a new beta build comes out to see if they changed anything? Or
well, yeah. So
how far in depth are you going with this?
So in Mr. Pandaria, I just kind of went through every class like once on stream and just sort of like figured things out. And I got noticed by Celeste a lot at the time for the testing that I was doing, mostly because it's a long-standing joke that I found there was architecture problems with mounts not putting their footprints or hoof prints in the snow, and or they were the wrong ones. Like something was wrong in the table across the board. So like bird prints should have been birds, but they were like horses, or they were Kodo, or they were something else randomly. Wow. So, but I didn't do the extent I did back in MOP for this one. For MOP and Warlords, I just had access. I got access through whatever means back then. Can't remember how I even got it, because I know in MOP it was just like a whim. But from Legion, I developed the first pass, second pass sort of style, where I go through every single spec a first time, just to get like a new baseline, right? So we find out what their changes would be baseline, and then closer to launch, which is starting up very soon within like a week or so, I do a second pass, which is a little bit more targeted at trying to list out at that point, like every little thing that's things changed from the knowledge we've learned from the first pass, but then also to be like the primer for when the spec goes live. Is it ready to launch, basically? So yeah, there's 72 videos to make in that section. There's 72 individual live streams. So I do each spec one at a time.
Yep.
And about 2 to 4 hours per spec each time. And it's all collated and put together on my table on my channel guide. So you can see the past testing I've done. And I did all of the artifact weapon and all the class halls for Legion as well. So that was a whole other section. That's obviously not here in battle, but I like finding out that kind of stuff because it's the most the player interacts with the class of the spec more than anything else in the game. So if that doesn't work at the base level, then that's where the problems start. So I try to, and I'm really fortunate now that the last 2 expansions I've had a direct avenue to bring feedback right to Blizzard.
Yep.
So through different people that I've been able to talk to. So I emailed giant Google documents of the bugs and the tooltip errors and the problems and suggestions to try to get that fixed sort of baseline. But yeah.
God bless Google Docs, I'll tell you.
Yeah, so, for sure.
So when do you find time to sleep in all this? Because you said 72 individual streams for one pass, and then 72 again. So
I mean,
how do you have hobbies outside of this?
I mean, the sleeping stuff just sort of, I guess, I take naps is the joke that I say, because I take like 6-hour naps between work. Because like the streaming, of course, just depends on if I'm doing anything else around the testing broadcast, but it usually just takes time.
Yeah.
So it just takes days. So people were actually ribbing on me when I started testing Warlock like over a month and a half ago. Let me actually pull up my channel guide right now so I can get some real numbers. Because I started testing and I was like, I think I'm a little bit late. Because, yeah, I started testing the first specs for BFA February 28th. So it's already been about 2 months since then, and I'm just about to finish the first pass. Because, you know, if trips come up, or if I get sick, or I melt my face, because I did that recently, then obviously I have to take time away from testing.
Right.
But yeah, it takes a while to get through all this stuff. It takes about 45 days, I would say, without anything getting in the way, to do 36 individual tests. So, but it's all put together right there. I can go back because I still have the all the class halls and order hall videos I made, and then all the first pass, second pass from Legion. And the format back then was so different. I had such varying degrees of how much I talked about, and then some of the actual second pass videos because of the artifact weapon, plus all the base changes, plus going through all the perks, plus putting that into retrospect with all of the talent combinations. Let me see. I think I started with Death Knight in April 2016. Yeah, April 2016, and I didn't finish second pass testing in Legion until almost the end of June? Middle of June? So that was like almost, a little over 2 months of testing back in Legion. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So some of these videos are like an hour and 20 minutes long. What the heck was I talking about?
Well, it sounds like it was more complex because you had more factors.
It's true.
So, there's definitely more meat to talk about.
Oh my gosh, this looks so weird looking back at this old data. I
Well,
mean, it's all there on purpose, but yeah.
hey, it's always good to have an archive. So, yesterday we had the Q&A.
Yeah, we did.
How do you feel about Battle for Azeroth from that Q&A?
So I don't really. The weird thing about me in the community in the corner and whatever that I'm doing is that I hold on, let me pull this up here. Is that World of Warcraft, this silly game, doesn't the phrasing I used yesterday was that it doesn't rustle my jimmies, because I nothing in this game really bothers me that much. I've been playing it for so long, and there's different degrees of passion and force that the community can definitely show.
Right.
But I don't, like, I just don't get bent out of shape about it. Maybe I probably did more back this when I first started testing, and maybe in MOP and Warlords, and I've been doing my live show, my podcast, my live show since MOP. So we're going on our 4th expansion here in a moment. But I don't, like, nothing really bothers me about this game. So there's so many more things that happen that are extraneous to World of Warcraft that WoW is like the passion project, and the math and the analyzing and the fun and the community building, all this kind of stuff. I don't get all worked up about changes to a video game. But some people, some YouTube comments in particular,
Ooh.
always
Any particular ones you want to read?
do. Oh gosh, no.
We can do a Bay
No.
Reads comments.
That is actually a pretty good YouTube series that a few YouTubers that I know of do. That is actually rather popular. Is that you go through and read YouTube comments. Yeah, it's because I understand that the chain of thought coming from some of these people that are responding in this way, but at the same time, it's like, but why are you getting mad at me for just trying to relay information when it's A, not my game, B, I have no direct influence over the game, and C, I'm just trying to help the community, you, the players, funnel information through my sponge to Blizzard if we can. I'm not going to take much credit for this. I could, I guess, but it doesn't really matter. New Moon coming back to Balanced Druid, and Feral Frenzy, which is Ashmane's Frenzy, coming back to Feral Druid, and then the Frozen Orb instant cast Blizzard interaction for Frost Maid.
Yep.
Those were all things that I reported in my notes that I directly sent to Blizzard. Lo and behold, next build or so later, they're in the game. I'm just saying, like, but that's also because of that's what chat helps me figure out, and this was a really good thing to have. And I get suggestions from people, and I poke Discord communities sometimes about things, and we put this all together, and then I send it off to Blizzard. So we hit the nail on the head sometimes. Other times we'll suggest a whole bunch of stuff and give feedback, and hopefully just get the bugs fixed, because lots of tooltips right now that just don't have any values.
Right.
And it's beta. But that to me, that's more fun, because there are a lot of gaslighters out there that just try to fan the flames in World of Warcraft, and I don't feel that way about this game. So
no,
it's not a big deal.
No, it makes sense. I tend to go that route too. To me, there are things you can dive into, but it's nothing you should get worked up about. Because these aren't the first changes we've seen to World of Warcraft. It changes pretty much every expansion, and yeah, you have varying degrees of controversial changes, but so other than that, speaking of changes, what changes do you think are looking really good so far in Battle for Azeroth, and what do you think needs improvement?
Well, to piggyback that question off of the Q&A still, I didn't actually listen to what Ian said. I did read the whole thing, though, all the cliff notes that were on MMO Champion, the write-up that was put out. But the big contentious point right now is the GCD change, right?
Right.
And it's they're still working on it. And you asked about like what would change for Battle for Azeroth. I think there's definitely still some work there to be done, even though overall, I don't think it really does a whole lot to the game. I have a poll going right now on my Twitter, actually, that it runs for a couple more days. Just trying to get completely nonsensical Twitter data, because I don't think it's going to really amount to much. But got over 1,100 votes on it so far about what is the impact of the GCD change to your gameplay. And I'm not breaking this down by class or spec or anything. Just overall, just huge sweep of data just to see what the average feedback is.
Yeah, weren't the options like none, a little, moderate, high?
Well, no, it's no impact. Yeah, small impact, large impact, and then ruins the game. And I sort of put that meme answer ruins the game there on purpose to see. It's almost like a bait and switch, because putting a vote there, I'm not going to collate that to any data actually, because it doesn't. That's just kind of a dumb choice. Like, it's not going to ruin the game for you, because the only specs in the game that are even heavily impacted, there's like maybe 4 out of 36. So if all of those votes are only from those 4 specs at this current juncture, okay, I can get that. But overall, if you're just saying that because it's slowing down the game, you don't like how it feels, that's not a real feedback. That's not real. That's not really giving a direct impact on the player. If you just don't like it, that doesn't make any sense, right?
Right.
You can play other video games and not like a champion in League or a hero in Heroes of the Storm, and that ruins the game because Medivh exists. And that doesn't mean anything. But the small impact, large impact is interesting to me because it shows that it's so close, 31% to 38%, that as an overall, either it's a big impact for you because you play one of those like 4 or 5 or 6 specs that actually have an impact, or the small impact is that you play all the other specs that, like Warlocks, that don't have anything on the GCD, or Enhancement Shamans that had one thing that we never talented into for a long time.
Yeah.
So it doesn't do a whole lot, I feel. And the no impact, of course, is probably like healers, because it has like no impact for healers.
Yeah.
But that still needs some change because of how much I know that it is affecting the community as a whole, which Ian did address a little bit. But there's still a few things they're working on, like Avatar is still getting a tweak to come, and so is some of the leaps and the movement speed things are getting looked at again. But there really isn't anything that I'm looking to be improved upon, because the mission table stuff that everyone freaked out about when they first saw that data mined is going to be a small portion, even smaller than Legion. So Warlords, we had Garrison and Shipyard, which was just like a nightmare because they were the same thing. I clicked the red button and you just left.
Yeah.
And then in Legion, we had a really good version of it where it kind of integrated into the quest and your whole class campaign, sort of weaved in and out. And right now it just makes gold. So, and the catch up for a new character is kind of obnoxious, but I think the version we're going to get, the third version of that in battle will be light, I'd imagine. And my biggest thing I always get hung up on are systems in the game. So we had a big conversation the other day about the loot change.
Oh, the personal loot from Master Loot?
Well, it's just called loot now. Just loot.
Stuck in my old ways.
It's just... That one worries me because Mythic raiding guilds, even Heroic raiding guilds, now you're going to have this forced disparity that you may have some of your raiders that are going to be 5, 6, 10 eye levels behind, and their only guaranteed way to get loot, guaranteed, right, is to do the raids, but you just might not get loot now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I bring this up in chat the other day on my stream, and like 3 or 4 people immediately said that, you know, I've been raiding on my alts in pugs, normal heroics, and getting no loot for weeks. And that's going to be how your main's going to feel. So that's a weird one for me. So I'm not totally on that, because he openly came out too and said that islands are the best source of artifact power, which he corrected the community on, because before the CMs and the devs were saying it's Azerite power, but your necklace is an artifact, so it is actually artifact power.
Makes sense, I guess.
Yeah. It's AP both ways. Azerite power, artifact power. It's AP 2.0. But so like systems like that really get to me, because I like to see that if you put in time and effort into what you're doing and trying to move your game forward, they'll be rewarded for that. And that's the whole point of what they were trying to change in Legion. But then they dropped in legendaries in there, which totally screwed everything up. That kind of stuff is what bothers me, and hope that they fine tune, because you can only suggest and ask. And I brought up some apparently softball questions according to the YouTube community. Only some people said this with my interview at PAX, and like the Transmog system still isn't fixed, updated, implemented, or worked on yet. I don't know what that's going to do, because
well, that's a big part of the game. A lot of people
Right.
really enjoy Transmog.
Right, exactly. So those are the things that I get hung up on that I hope get changed, because I'm all for the Warfronts being a more spicy or more interactive weekly event thing that's better than just going to a place and killing the world boss, because the world bosses are tied to the whole Warfront system when they change hands, kind of a deal. So, and that's going to be your big, like, oh, it's the weekly reset. When does my Warfront change over? Oh, on Friday. So you basically have your reset on Friday. But next week it could be on Tuesday because you were the winning faction on Friday. So I have to like do the other quests to push the Warfront back to me, kind of like Mage Tower style.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun. That hopefully will feel good for like profession-oriented stuff and for world questing. And it brings you back to the old world, because like all the Warfronts are just all randomly in the old world somewhere, one at a time as they unrolled them. That looks fun. Islands, I did 8 different islands on 8 different specs when I was at PAX. Those look pretty fun. So I haven't tested anything else now because they made it. You have to go to level 115, and there's a tutorial quest to do, and then you unlock your whole account. But when do I have time to like sit down for 10 hours and level 5 times right now? I don't.
Yeah.
So
makes it a little more difficult.
Yeah. But beta, as it rolls out, hopefully will give us max little character copies so we can just like jump in to test things. Hopefully Mythic Plus dungeons get in there. More raid testing, of course, as it happens. The first raid test was a stability test anyway.
Yeah.
So it those kind of things. I'm looking forward to all of that, right? We have 2 brand new systems in the game on top of the ones we already had. We have a little bit of the mission table. We have world quests. We have Mythic Plus dungeons. We always have raids. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most. But the tweak stuff is that loot's a weird hang up, and then Transmog.
I think it's interesting because no one else has brought up Transmog, and I'm really happy you did, because that's one thing a lot of my friends in the beta said is Transmog's looking a little rough right now. And
well, there's a weird thing with like Holy Paladins is the one I bring up all the time. They're going back to Sword and Board, so they just can never transmog the Silver Hand again. And then Feral Druids and Guardian Druids are fist weapons and daggers dual wield, but they can't actually dual wield in game.
Yeah.
But the artifact wasn't an actual dual wield. It was you put it in your main hand and it just puts it in your offhand as well.
Yep.
That's changed. So what system is going to be involved to actually pick what bear form or what cat form, which is just weird. And then other things like Fellow Malorn for fire mages, but all mages usually use staves. So you have to use a one-hand offhand, but what if you get an upgrade that's not? So you just have to use that instead. It just kind of weirdly forces you out of what players have been used to for 2 years.
Yeah.
For some reason, because the way the Transmog system is kind of archaic at this point. So, but when I asked about it at PAX, they had no answer because they didn't know yet, I guess.
Still working on it.
Mm-hmm.
While you're taking a sip, thank you for the follows, Calrel and Calzord2. I wish my name had numbers in it. I'll have to think about that.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, Final Boss TV is new here. Say hello. Hello, Final Boss.
It popped up for me to do that. Yeah, that's fair.
Good old Twitch doing its thing. So, we just talked about Battle for Azeroth. Let's talk about the other game in the room coming for World of Warcraft, and of course, that's Classic. What are your thoughts?
Oh, no!
We don't have to go so far into it, but what are your general thoughts and feelings? Are you excited? Do you not care?
I mean, I broadcast on Twitch TV, so of course I've been attacked by the Classic WoW is a better MMO.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh. I mean, I don't think not everyone, unless you've been following my channel for a long time or heard me talk about it at least, or seen me prove this fact. I still have to. I have a very old hard drive I used to play that I have the install of, I think like Burning Crusade on or whatever, but I have the old screenshots folder that I need to dig back up sometime for a special stream to go back through all my old screenshots from vanilla and BC, but mostly from vanilla, because I remember I have screenshots in there somewhere of my server first kill of Cthulhu the night after he was hotfixed worldwide, back when hotfixes in World of Warcraft required the servers to come down. Ooh. And then be brought back up. So they brought the servers down, and what was still raid time, so we had to wait and let the raid reset and everything else, and then we could jump back into the game, log back in, and play, because they nerfed the eye tentacle damage because it was mathematically impossible. That's where the mathematically impossible joke comes from. That method brings up now and then. It goes back to Cthulhu as far as I remember. But I remember those screenshots. And I played a vanilla Resto Druid all the way up until next 40 when I went vanilla Boomkin, where he had a melee for mana, he had Insect Swarm and Moonfire and Wrath. That was it. I'm fine with it coming back. I think depending on the iteration, it actually comes back. Ian said classic is classic, vanilla is vanilla. If you want to play it again and you never experienced it, that you play the game starting with Wrath or Cataclysm or whatever, you never played vanilla WoW, it'll be an experience. Let me tell you. But it was a terrible game back then. Compared to the game now, it was awful. The new leveling system right now has people up in arms because leveling takes too long. So let's just triple the time it takes to level now, and that's vanilla leveling.
Yep.
Let's also give you the fact that you had an hour-long Hearthstone. So if you ever had to do one of those terrible fetch quests that move you across zones or back to other places you were, and you didn't have a Hearthstone, you are just running, because you don't get a mount until at least 40 for the crappy ground mount, and it was really expensive. You get the real mount at 60, and you're done questing by then, because it was a reward for being next level. But there are so many things that are going to feel very old school RPG, and to some it's going to feel great, and they like that feeling. But to others, it's going to just be like Dan's game, What Face, back to back in your mind, because the game is so incredibly slow, and you pull more than 2 mobs while questing and you're dead. And there was just every caster would go while killing a mob or two, so you have to eat after every freaking mob. And it's so incredibly old styled that it's going to be a really rude awakening to some people that are like, yeah, vanilla WoW, and 3 days later you're like, screw this.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people don't understand how much effort you have to put into Classic or Vanilla WoW.
Oh, gosh.
People complain now about having to get raid ready with flasks and whatnot. Let's talk about Warlocks and their soul shards for summoning.
Well, you just bring up consumables in the first place, and again, I want these old screenshots to show people that you would have scrolls, a food buff, usually the lucky pork chops or whatever, or a mana regen food buff. You would have
chops.
An assortment of elixirs. So you'd have the fortitude elixir, the mana regen elixir, the spell power elixir. I don't even know what else you'd have. You'd have a whole bunch of them. So there you go, a whole bunch of extra stuff. You'd have a flask as well. I actually can't remember. Did you use 2 flasks normally? Did you use a stam and an int flask? Probably. I don't remember.
I was going to say, I didn't play Classic. I just watched a lot of videos about it.
You'd usually have one of the world buffs from when you did have Onyxia's head for big bosses that you had to go kill Onyxia and then take the 2 hours to take that buff over to Cthulhu or whatever. Or when ZG came out, you'd do the other, the troll buff. It was down there on the island. You would go turn in something, you get that buff. So you'd have, and then you had all the class buffs too, right? And originally, blessings were 5 minutes, so you'd have to have whisper cast if you're a paladin and whisper whenever your buff's about to fall off. They eventually added greater blessings, which were 15. The whole symbols of kings thing. Yeah. So back when you had to have ammo for hunters and onks for onking for shamans and candles and the weird arcane dust or whatever for marking your AoE group buffs, and there's some endearing qualities of that old school style, but at the same time, if you play the game now and you want to go back and experience that, it's just the biggest thing I can say is it's a rude awakening, because it's just so much else that is just very tedious old school RPG farming style that many people are going to be just like, ugh.
Yeah, no, it's a whole different game.
Oh yeah. Obviously. Yep. It's just It's the past. We can leave it there. I was there. I lived it for 2 years. I may poke it again, but I don't know. It was a trip.
So let's go into some fun facts that viewers may not know about you. So.
Oh no.
Oh yes. So favorite part of PAX East. I'm just gonna ask you random questions for this part.
I mean, probably the live stream, and I guess I can pull the whole influencer content creator card into the dinner that I had with the devs was a lot of fun. So.
Ooh, tell us about that. Sounds juicy.
I mean, well, it technically was. I had a steak and a lobster tail, but
a little surf and turf.
Yeah, it was nice. It was a really fancy restaurant up in Boston. I can't even remember the name of it now. It's in my email somewhere, I'm sure. But yeah, we had all the influencers that they had flown out from different areas to all put together. The CM team put us together and did a little dinner, and we had two big old stretch tables, and each table had a dev. We just talked about World of Warcraft and everything else, and had some drinks. But it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff we talked about that I can't bring up anymore. I mean, the stuff that I could talk about I have on stream already, and obviously in my dev interview. But we don't really. I think people think that the content creator community gets like this inside scoop of the game, but a lot of it is that they don't really tell us anything more than they tell the public. So I don't have any juicy hidden things, right?
Right.
And I kind of knew when beta was coming out, but a lot of people surmised that I knew that as well. So, because I knew, I didn't know a date, but I knew it was coming. And they put it out before that I was expecting, which kind of put a wrench in my plans for testing, because my last Rogue and DK test had to be totally rebuilt, and they took out the Transmog mounts, and they took away all gear on your Transmog character. So, I don't know, it was a nightmare. I had to do a whole day of like resetting all my stuff up, but yeah, PAX would probably between that or the live stream. The live stream was wild. That was like the most viewers I've had on a live stream in a very long time. Quinn hosted me though, which like doubled my viewer count, which is wild. But it was like 6,000 people, 6,000 people watching.
Yeah, I think
from
so.
PAX. So,
because I actually went home the night before that, because 3 days of PAX was enough for me. And
fair enough.
I remember, I was like, oh shit, he's at like 5 or 6K.
Yeah, I couldn't keep up with the chat because I was I usually read like chat for me when I'm playing on my setup. Chat's right there.
Yeah.
Like my monitors are bumped together, so it's monitor, camera, monitor. So I read chat all the time. I try to like look back and forth to it, even when I'm like reading or in the middle of whatever I'm doing. So, but whenever I did that, even between PAX and an island, it was totally new chat because it was moved way too fast.
Yeah. At 6,000 viewers, no one expects you to keep up.
Right. But that was weird for me because I'm really good around, the handful mid-hundreds. But then once you get above 1,000, it becomes definitely a little bit different to keep up with that. And I don't like missing questions or stuff like that. So
right.
It was an experience. But
speaking of viewer questions, if any viewers have a question, feel free to type it in, and I'll make sure it gets asked.
There are a couple people in here from my Discord. Don't ask any questions. You're not allowed.
You're in my house now. It's okay.
Oh, God. Yeah, outside of that, though, PAX was interesting. I got to bump into a couple people that I knew online that I never met before in person, even though it's always still kind of awkward because we don't know each other. We just know each other from, like, our online tweets or our streams. We never met in person. So it's still, like, kind of like, oh, I'm this. Oh, you're blah. Oh, well, I'm blah. Well, I knew that because I bumped into you. Oh, blah, blah, blah. It's always there's always like a weird introverts meeting in the wild kind of a feeling, which is a lot of us are very introverted. We just kind of have these spurts of extrovertedness because we go to these events or we stream a lot, but we're streaming and I'm sitting here in my bedroom / studio, right? So I'm by myself talking to myself in my room, basically. So
pretty much that's what it would look like if someone walked in.
Yep.
It's the voices in the heads, man. I'm telling you.
I mean, I'm putting up more soundproofing foam, getting serious. I mean, I have some up already now, but I'm putting up more, so I'm doing that later today and stuff. So
yeah, I think I see a little bit on screen is orange, blue, and black.
Well, that's on purpose to see that little bit, but my whole back of my door is covered. I'm covering the other side of my door, and I have this corner of my room, and then that corner just to stop some echoey bounciness. So I have a 14-foot vaulted ceiling in this master bedroom, so it gets a little echoey, but
I can imagine.
Trying to cut that down. So little things like that. Little things that people don't know about me.
Yeah.
My desk is a mess, but no one sees it because of the way that camera tricks work in the industry. My desk is a mess right now. So, but I actually ordered a bunch of cable management, different types of ties that I'll be working together because I'm going to redo my desk here soon, actually, and move things around. And hopefully, probably actually try to figure out getting my actual mixer. I've had a really expensive mixer sitting right here underneath my actual audio board, and this mixer isn't plugged in or anything. It just sits here. So
you're gonna give it a purpose.
It needs to be plugged in. It's the last like bit of audio that I can tweak to get sorted. So I need to get that done. Hopefully before the launch of BFA, I'll get that done. So just slow upgrades on that one. People that have me on Snapchat always like, just Snapchat me your desk. No. It's not like disgusting. It's not some people's desks that I'm not gonna just throw under the bus right now, but it's a meme. It's just very messy. I'm a creative brain, so just there's stuff sitting on the desk, and I have hot sauce and medicine and a bunch of little memorabilia pieces, and then just stuff.
Do you ever get the hot sauce and the medicine confused?
Hopefully not, even though hopefully not. I don't sprinkle any of it on my food or anything like that. But they're sitting right here on my desk because of my surgery recently. So,
yeah. Oh, I didn't know you had surgery.
Well, some of the bandages show up on stream sometimes, but
nice.
I had an elective lipoma surgery on 4. Lipomas are just like little chunks of flesh and fat that just form under your skin. But I've had annoying times with a couple of them. So, elbow is bad because I sit a lot on my desk. I had one on my thigh and my knee removed because they looked weird, and then this one on my arm was the biggest one. So that was like a week ago. I got my stitches out in a week. Yeah, actually a week from today. So not really a lesser known fact I've been talking about on stream now and then because people are just like, "Why? What's wrong with you?" So,
well, congratulations on going for. You look good for a guy who had surgery less than a week ago. A little over.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal because it was all like topical. It was all local anesthesia though. I was awake for the whole thing, which was interesting.
Oh, I can imagine.
I didn't feel anything when I felt stuff. I didn't feel anything. It was very strange to be awake for that, but it worked out in the end, I think. And I think once it's all healed and everything, I can go on the next step of my weight loss journey, I suppose, because I wanted to get these taken care of, so I started doing P90 months ago, end of last year, middle-ish, end of last year, end of last summer.
Yep.
And too much of that would always like, because obviously the muscle movement and get all sweaty and whatnot, and the skin move around. So this one would always get really sore.
Yeah.
Obviously, well, anymore there's nothing there anymore once it heals. So, and the one on my knee was bothering me sometimes. So, getting those sorted means that I don't have to worry about them going forward, which will be nice.
Hey, one thing to check off the list.
Yep, it's very true.
So, what projects can we look forward to in the future?
Projects to look forward to in the future, other than just beta for the next 3 months. The project I always tease about is I would still love to make War Crimes, which was my 10-part machinima based on the War Crimes novel for World of Warcraft, as well as looping in some of the Tides of War side story and the standalone Kairos Dormu Garrosh side story that was on the short story that was on the Blizzard website.
Yeah.
So to push those all together, because even now, all the stuff in Legion all starts because of that book. Like that book is the start of all of the Warlords and all of Legion, and all tied together. And it's such a pivotal book that brings in other side stories as well. That like the Sylvanas side story and Jaina's side story and the Infinite Dragonflight madness and the doppelgangers in World of Warcraft from a different timeline and just all this stuff. But War Crimes is a huge monetary investment that I just don't have the money to fund right now. So roughly about 20 grand or so. ish.
That's like an indie film.
Yeah, it really is. I needed indie crew basically. So yeah, hopefully one day I get to work on that. But other than that, I mean, I have a BTS podcast coming up for my patrons on Saturday. We're going to talk about a lot of the alpha and beta coverage that I've done moving forward with the live show to get feedback from them. I've got actually 2 more guested podcasts such as yours on the horizon, actually. So I'll give my viewers more details on those as they get closer.
Ooh, exciting.
And
because I was going to say, we didn't plan this until like yesterday. It was like, it was a general idea. And then like yesterday we were just like, how about tomorrow?
Well, Z was poking me about this a while ago. We didn't sit in a date, I guess, until. But I've got I think I've got 2 more. Me being a guest on someone else's show coming up. That'll be interesting. I'll have to do one answering question. I asked Babel.
There you go. And
just lots of live streams. My schedule is almost that I take 1 day a week off Saturday, but Saturday isn't even a day off. Like this Saturday, the day off that I'm taking off is the Patreon stuff. I have an extension on my taxes filed because I'm probably getting someone to do my taxes. I'm self-employed. I have an LLC. I have all this stuff to put together.
Yeah, it's complicated.
So I'm having someone else, an actual tax professional, do my taxes. So I'm going to be going out to Tampa to meet him, and he's the guy doing my taxes for my parents for like over a decade and a half or whatever. Something ridiculous. So to go meet him and do all that madness, and that'll take a day away from streaming, but hopefully we can actually figure everything out. On the baseline, I'll learn a whole lot about how to do taxes as an LLC, self-employed, all this madness. Looking forward to learning that. And then I want to sort of self-audit my last few years of being self-employed to make sure I, crossed my T's and dotted all my lowercase J's. But
the lowercase J's.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. But that's a big one. That'll be won't be fun exactly, but it'll be a big relief when it gets handled.
Yeah.
So
you don't want to mess with the government, kids. They'll get you.
But yeah, I don't know. 6 days a week is how often I work, essentially. Looking over at chat, neither one of these jokers has any questions for me, which is fine.
It's because you told them not to. They're scared. You're scared.
Oh, scared. Yeah, okay.
You're scared.
They're not scared in my chat.
Well, I don't know what to say to that. Speaking of viewers in the chat, is there anything you want to say to your viewers? Because it's also going on YouTube.
I mean, it's been a really wild ride out. So last March, it's the pinned tweet on my Twitter, actually. Last March, I finally was done juggling the 2 jobs I was working since I graduated college. I was working at Florida Hospital as sort of a one-man production team, basically.
Yep.
And so yeah, March 2nd, 2017 was the day that I sort of parted ways with Florida Hospital. Just that they were changing how their video production side was working. It wasn't like I was fired or let go or like that. It was a mutual that I could keep doing projects for you guys, but it's going to be very much a different very much a different style of how I have to come in, and you have to pay for my time from start to finish differently, all this stuff. So it was 3.5 years. I learned a whole lot, met a lot of great people. So I get to watch brain surgery.
That sounds fun.
So a lot of experience and stories there. But yeah, as of March 2nd, 2017, I've been full-time internet. So I've been all just YouTube, Twitch, Patreon, all the stuff I've been doing here. That's all been what I've done now for over a year. And it's terrifying because you're at the whim and the ebb and flow of the internet's generosity basically to sustain. But the way the internet responds to that and what they'll throw money at normally, 'cause that's sort of how it works, right? We're like a live Kickstarter. If you want us to keep doing what we want to do, you have to support us monetarily, watch our ads, toss a couple bucks on our Patreon page, buy our merch, whatever, right? That's how we survive.
Buy the merch.
Buy the merch! Yeah, I have to start hawking my merch better like Wow Krendor does. So he's just like, every time you talk to Krendor, he's like, have you bought my sloth pants yet? They're brand new. You can go buy them. Yeah. buy my merch.
That was a really good impression.
No, my voice is nowhere near as monotone and low as Krendor's is. I was on a fishing with Krendor back in the day. We talked a lot about World of Warcraft for a good hour and a half. It was fun. Well, we talked about the Warcraft trilogy being remastered in the Heroes engine for a while, and that's just like complete gasm material. Please, Blizzard, please. But
Well, they're updating Warcraft 3, so
yeah,
there's hope. There's hope.
No, an anthology remaster of Warcraft 1, 2, and 3 and the expansions in the Heroes engine with fixed canon lore that actually makes sense, because so much of that old lore is not real anymore.
Yeah.
Would be they would print money. Oh god, that would be insane. Granted, it'd be very expensive in the first place, but still.
Oh, definitely. We have a question in the chat from Calrel. When are you buying the drum set, monkey stick out tongue face?
Oh gosh, the drum set. Hopefully this summer is the drum set plan, because basically I wasn't going to be spending a ton of money on a very not necessary thing. I want a drum set, obviously. That was we had a donation bar for it a while ago, so essentially the funds are and were collected for it. The only thing was I was going to make sure I get all my taxes done first to make sure I don't have to do more of that and then figure out a drum set. That's like a $2,500 to $3,000 investment to get a nice drum set. So once well, the drum set will technically be a part of a business expense because I will integrate it into streaming at some point, but you can't write off things like that completely, which is, again, why tax stuff comes first. I'm talking to this guy out in Tampa about all these different things. So I'll have all my paperwork with me. I'll have all my expenses and figure out what I can write off, what I should be writing off, how aggressive can I write things off, what to say, what I can't write off, and then to learn that. And then that's why I want to audit myself for the last 4 years, because I've been self-employed this whole time. So even at Florida Hospital, I was still an LLC. I had to be like a private contractor, basically. Yep. So I wasn't taxed through them directly either. And I had a different bracket that I was in back then, whatever. But yeah, that's the stuff I got to figure out. So once that's all sorted, then hopefully a drum set. Then hopefully a drum set.
You heard it here first, guys. Hopefully the drum set this summer.
Yeah, hopefully.
Before we go, what is your favorite memory of World of Warcraft?
Favorite memory in World of Warcraft?
Something that you can look back to with fondness. Makes you smile every time.
I think the cop-out answer has always been killing Muru in Sunwell. Because that was an encounter that people think that like Kill Jaden destroyed guilds and other encounters now destroyed guilds. The thing about the older way that Blizzard made the game was they didn't have this mentality about bring the player and not the class. Yeah, especially if they don't even have that anymore because they've ruined that again because of the whole class buff system and debuff madness. But that's a whole other story. But back in the day, you had to make your roster of 25 people in BC in this regard. You had to make your roster to counter the actual encounter that Blizzard created because the mechanics were very simple back in the day.
Yep.
But Muru, for example, required essentially a handful of warlocks and a handful of shadow priests, like directly, and possibly a whole bunch of hunters. If you didn't have the right makeup to do Muru, then you would never kill Muru. And I'm not talking about like the Drow strat that became a thing back in the day where they had like 13 or 11 warlocks that would cheese the encounter. But there were things back in Classic and BC specifically because the game sort of took a turn in Wrath.
Right. But
BC and Vanilla, there were things that you just couldn't, like Resto Shamans, when they got Chain Heal, you would stack like 8 of them. You had 25-man raid. Well, like 7 or 8. I don't know, 6 healers back in the day because it was the best heal. And all you would do as a Resto Shaman would spam Chain Heal an entire raid encounter. That's all you did. Like you drop totems and you'd spam Chain Heal. And that was a huge part of the old game. So those sort of memories are interesting because I killed everything in BC and everything in Vanilla except Nax 40 KT. But it's like 4 horsemen killing that with 7 tanks back in the day. That was ridiculous. And then killing Muru in Sunwell was ridiculous because those fights were just not. They're not hard by today's standards, but back in the day, when A, players are bad, B, the game is very basic and very archaic compared to today's standards, and just the way it was designed was very much that if you didn't have the right classes stacked, that you couldn't kill things. Right? I mean, 4 horsemen by its design required 8 tanks in a 40-man raid.
Oh, wow.
And I'm pretty sure I killed it with 6 or 7, because I know we had 4 warriors in the front, on the front 2. And the back 2, I think we only had 3 tanks, because we had 1 guardian druid that would bounce back and forth between the tanks to give 1 time to sit in the middle and not get the debuffs. But I don't think we had 8. But again, that was over a decade ago, so what do I know? So that kind of stuff was madness. It was definitely more about herding cats in 40-man raids than it was about actually mechanical prowess. So
yeah,
it was all about herding
cats.
What do they say?
I don't know. I thought you knew. You used the term. I was looking to you for it.
Right. I thought you knew something I didn't. Let me see.
No.
Yeah.
No, I've never tried to herd a cat because I don't think it's actually possible.
Like 1 cat maybe, but an actual herd of cats. Yeah, good luck.
Like a litter.
Yeah, a litter of cats. Yeah.
Getting him to go back in the box. Anyway, that's gonna do it for us today. Unless you have anything you want to talk about specifically.
Oh, that's it. There's no hardball questions. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's it. I mean, to everyone out there that's been supporting me and watching me for all these years, and I have a lot left to do, hopefully, as the content and the streams evolve and incorporate more things. Obviously, World of Warcraft is the main game. Like 75% of my broadcasting is WoW, because it's the hobby that I play, right? It's the slash job-ish situation that I've found myself in. But yeah, have to slowly work out to other opportunities and possibilities to put my face on things, sort of, to keep this going. Because you can't mainline one game. That's sort of the kiss of death on Twitch and in content creation. So, but I appreciate all the support. Hopefully you'll be here as the journey continues. And Zach, of course, thank you for the interview spot today. And I hope you all the best with your show and enjoying all that stuff and Battle for Azeroth in the future. Hopefully the GCD change doesn't ruin your game.
I don't know how it affects Boomkins, so I've never been too big into it. I'm more of a lore nerd than a systems nerd.
I don't think it affects Boomkins at all.
Good.
Unless you take Force of Nature. But who takes that?
I love my Trents. Okay.
No, they need to be baby boomkins. They should summon 3 little boom chickens that
I'll give you that.
They should randomly cast all 4 of the core spells, just because they're just little chaotic. Because the boomkin school in the Dream Grove is one of the most adorable things in WoW ever. Why?
That's true. That's very true.
So cute.
Blizzard, listen up. Money making opportunity.
I'm serious though. Glyph of Force of Nature should have a glyph
that turns into baby boomkins.
Turns them into baby boomkins, and they'll just randomly spam Moonfire or Sunfire or Starfire, Lunar Strike or Wrath. That would be adorable. The damage would be the same, but they'd just be adorable.
I would give them money for a straight WoW token just to buy one.
Right.
I mean, I'm into it.
So that's how much actually the glyph of baby boomkins will actually cost you $20.
Yeah.
Like actual microtransaction. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in today's industry, it's not the most ludicrous one. But no, thank you for coming on the show. It was a pleasure having you.
No, thank you for inviting me.
And you have a stream tonight, don't you?
Oh, I got to test Assassination Rogue in an hour-ish from now. Yeah. We're going to go eat and then test. Yep.
There you go. So make sure to keep an eye out for that, guys. That's going to be it for us today, and I hope everyone has a wonderful, classy day.